Shalom, my heroes and shebrews. This is Oilfield Disciple. Welcome to our daily bread. For those of you who've been following and those who are new, welcome. We just read through 5 chapters of Scripture. Uh, I'll give a little bit of commentary as the Holy Spirit would give me utterance, but really our daily bread is just getting Scripture and getting it read, getting it in us. And then from those chapters, hopefully and prayerfully, it will inspire you to go and do some in-depth studies on your own, um, to go and seek out more from what the Lord would have for you. Um, Keep us lifted in prayer, as we will gather again, uh, against the wishes of our lovely governor here in New Mexico. Last week we were asked to cut it short. Um, and of course, I couldn't do that. I can only do what the Holy Spirit gives me utterance to do. And I expect to probably this week be met with the state police as we gather and meet. And so uh, I'm not going to stress it. Proverbs 16:7 says that when our ways please the Lord, that even our enemies will be at peace with us. And so um, that's what I can pray on and stand on, um, as pastor of this small assembly. So with that said, let's get to reading Bereshit, chapter 34, verse 1. We will also be reading Mark chapter 4, 4 or 5. I'll see when I get there. Where we're going to be at Psalms 36 and Proverbs 30. And since tomorrow is the first, we'll probably read Proverbs 30 and 31 today. That's what I do in a month that only has 30 days. Since there's 31 Proverbs, I'll usually read 30 and 31 either today or tomorrow. You can read 31 and then one, but that's how I do the Proverbs. So let's get you flipped around. Look at these windmills from another angle. We got a big old giant pump jack there. All right. This morning I'm going around and checking every lease. Doing that twice a week. And glad to have a little rest because yesterday raking rocks out from the field all day long, like they took it out of me. I'm not in shape for that. It's been a while since I've done that type of labor, so a little sore, but we're gonna be all right. So Bereshit 34:1 says, and Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had borne to Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. And Shechem, son of Hamor, the Hivite, prince of the land, saw her and took her and lay with her and humbled her. And his being clung to Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the girl and spoke kindly to the girl. And Shechem spoke to his father Hamor, saying, take this girl for me for a wife. And Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah, his daughter, and now his sons were with the livestock in the field. So Jacob kept silent till they came. And Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out to Jacob to speak with him. And the sons of Jacob came in from the field when they heard it. And the men were grieved and very wroth, because he had done a senseless deed in Israel by lying with Jacob's daughter, which should be done. But Hamor spoke with them, saying, My son Shechem's being longs for your daughter. Please give her to him for a wife, and intermarry with us. Give us your daughters, and take our daughters for yourselves, and dwell with us, and let the land be before you. Dwell and move about in it, and have possessions in it. And Shechem said to her father and her brothers, let me find favor in your eyes, and whatever you say to me I give. Ask of me a bride price, and gift ask of me a bride price, and gift ever so high, and I give according to what you say to me. but give me the girl for a wife." But the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor his father, and spoke with deceit, because he had defiled Dinah their sister. Yeah, I'm probably gonna jack your day up, dude, if this is me. And they said to them, "We are not able to do this, master, to give our sister to one who is uncircumcised, for that would be a reproach to us. Only on this condition would we agree to you, if you become, as we are, to have every male of you circumcised." Right, so we'll consider giving our sister, but you guys are going to have to all get circumcised. He's a trick. He's a trap. Watch and see. Verse 15. "Only on this condition will we agree to you, if you become as we are, to have every male of you circumcised. Then we shall give our daughters to you, and take your daughters to us, and we shall dwell with you, and shall become one people. But if you do not listen to us and be if you do not listen to us and be circumcised, we shall take our daughter and go." And their words pleased Hamor and Shechem, Hamor's son. And the young men did not delay to do this, because he delighted in Jacob's daughter. Now he was more respected than all the household of his father. And Hamor and Shechem, his son, came to the gate of their city, and spoke with the men of their city, saying, "These men are at peace with us, so let them dwell in the land, and move about in it. And see, the land is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters for us for our wives, and let us give them our daughters. Only on this condition would the men agree to dwell with us, to be one people. If every male among us is circumcised as they are circumcised, their herds and their possessions and all their beasts, should they not be ours? Only let us agree with them, and let them dwell with us." And all who went out of the gate of his city listened to Hamor and Shechem his son. Every male was circumcised, all who went out of the gate of his city. It came to be on the third day, when they were in pain, that two of the sons of Jacob, Shimon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, each took his sword, and came boldly upon the city, and killed all the males. And they killed Hamor and Shechem his son with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah for Shechem's house, and went out. The sons of Jacob came upon the slain, and plundered the city, because they had defiled their sister. They took their flocks, and their herds, and their donkeys, and that which was in the city, and that which was in the field, and all their wealth, and all their little ones, and their wives they took captive, and they plundered all that was in the houses. And Jacob said to Shimon and Levi, "Have you troubled me by making me a stench among the inhabitants of the land, among the Kenites and the Perizzites? And I am few in number. Shall they gather themselves against me, and shall strike me, and I shall be destroyed, my household and I?" But they said, "Should he treat our sister like a whore?" So they had them get circumcised, knowing on the third day they were going to be at their worst, their sorest, and no condition to fight a war. And they went and slayed them men. I've heard it a couple times in the last couple of weeks, that we are to be passive, and we are not to create war. We're not to kill. Uh, Even the sixth commandment was quoted to me the other day. You shall not kill. Okay, well, that kill is murder. Murder is with malice intent in your heart. Um, Now, is this malice intent um, among Levi and Simone? Yes and no. I mean, they went and defiled their sister. We are not called, the people of God, to just lay down and allow people to run over us and destroy us. Um, Now, as we go read in Deuteronomy, once we get to Deuteronomy, there is um, a precedence. If you take a woman with or without her consent, you are to go to the father of that woman. And if he says, yeah, you can marry her, cool. If he says no, well, then you still got to pay a bride price. You still got to pay for what you've done and defiled his daughter. Um, and so, without me getting into a long sermon here, we are not to lay down and be passive at all times. There's a time to be passive, and there's a time not. And I'm going to have to agree with Levi and Simone here. I believe they did the right thing. And we'll see in the coming chapters how that plays out. Let's go to Psalms 36, Tehillim chapter 36. 36:1 says, Transgression speaks to the wrong within his heart. Fear of Elohim is not before his eyes, for he flatters himself in his own eyes, to find his crookedness to be hated. The words of his mouth are wickedness and deceit. He has ceased to be wise, to do good. He plots wickedness on his bed, and he sets himself any way that is not good. He does not despise evil. O Yahweh, your loving commitment is in the heavens, and your trustworthiness reaches to the clouds. Your righteousness is like the mighty mountains. Your right rulings are a great deep. O Yahweh, you save man and beast. How precious is your loving commitment, O Elohim. And the sons of men take refuge in the shadow of your wings, and they are filled from the fatness of your house. And you give them drink from the river of your pleasures. For with you is the fountain of life. In your light we see light. Draw out your loving commitment to those who know you, and your righteousness to the upright in heart. Let not the foot of pride come against me, and the hand of the wrong drive me away. There the workers of wickedness have fallen. They have been overthrown, and they have been unable to rise. Okay, turn to Proverbs 30. What I'll do is read Proverbs 30, and then we'll go read Mark 5, and then we'll come back and read Proverbs 31 to end it up. Mishle 31 or 30. Proverbs 30, verse 1 says, The words of Agur, son of Yaki, a message. This man declared to Ithiel in Ukal, For I am more stupid than anyone, and I do not have the understanding of a man, and I have not learned wisdom, that I should know the knowledge of the set apart one. Who has gone up to the heavens and come down? Who has gathered the wind in his fist? Who has bound the waters in a garment? And who has established all the ends of the earth? What is his name? And what is his son's name? If you know it, every word of Eloi is tried. He is a shield to those taking refuge in him. And do not add to his words, lest he reprove you and be found a liar. Okay, we're speaking of Yahweh. Two matters I have asked of you. Deny them not to me before I die. Remove falsehood and a lying word far from me. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me lawful bread, lest I become satisfied and deny you, and say, Who is Yahweh? And lest I be poor and steal, and seize the name of my Elohim. Do not slander a servant to his master, lest he curse you, and you be found guilty. There is a generation that curses its father, and does not bless its mother. There is a generation clean in its own eyes, but not washed from its own filth. There is a generation, oh, how haughty are their eyes, and their eyelids are lifted up. This generation is cyclical. Every so often, this generation comes about. It's been going on from the beginning, from the beginning of time until Messiah comes back. This generation pops up every so often. I believe we're in the midst of that generation now. Verse 14, there is a generation whose teeth are swords and whose jaw teeth are knives, to devour the poor from off the earth, and the needy from among men. The leech has two daughters. Give, give. Three are not satisfied. Four that never say enough. Sheol and the bearing womb. Soil not satisfied with water, and fire which never says enough. An eye that mocks his father, and scorns to obey his mother. Ravens of the wadi dig it out. and young eagles eat it. Now, Wadi, if you're new here, is a river. Three matters are too marvelous for me, and four which I do not understand. The way of an eagle in the heavens, the way of a snake on a rock, and the way of a ship in the heart of the sea. The way of a man with a young woman, this is the way of an adulterous woman. She shall eat and wipe her mouth and say, I have not done wickedness. Okay, we're talking about a church. We're talking about a false, wicked church. Under three matters the earth trembles, and under four it is unable to bear. Under a servant when he reigns, and a fool when he is satisfied with food. Under a hated woman who marries, and a female servant who supplants her mistress. There are four matters which are little on the earth, but they are exceedingly wise. The ants are the people not strong, yet they prepare their food in the summer. The rock badgers are a weak folk, yet they make their homes in the crags. The locusts have no sovereign, yet they all go out in formation. A spider takes hold with two hands in its king's palaces. There are three matters that are going well, and four are good in walking. A lion which is mighty among beasts, and does not turn away from facing all. A greyhound and a male goat, and a sovereign whose army is with him. If you have been foolish in lifting up yourself, or if you have plotted evil, put your hand on your mouth. For as milk under pressure brings forth curds, and as a nose under pressure brings forth blood, so wrath under pressure brings forth strife. Let's go read Mark chapter 5. Now, yesterday was the parable of the sower. Uh, well, let me just read. And they came to the other side of the sea, the country of the Gadarenes. And when he came out of the boat, he being Jesus, and when he came out of the boat, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit, who had his dwelling among the tombs. Excuse me. And no one was able to bind him, not even with chains, because he had often been bound with shackles and chains, but the chains had been pulled apart by him, and the shackles broken to pieces, and no one was able to take him. And continually, night and day, he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying out and cutting himself with stones. And seeing Yeshua from a distance, he ran and bowed to him, and having called out with a loud voice, said, What have I to do with you, Yeshua, Son of the Most High El? I swear to Elohim not to torture me. Hold up, let me reread that. Swear to Elohim not to torture me. For he had said to him, Come out of the man, unclean spirit. And he was asking him, What is your name? And in answering said, My name is Legion, because we are many. And he begged him very much that he would not send him out of the country. Now a great herd of pigs was there, feeding near the mountains. And all the demons begged him, saying, Send us to the pigs, so that we enter to them. And he gave them permission. And the unclean spirits came out and entered into the pigs. And they were about 2,000. And the herd rushed down the steep place into the sea, and drowned in the sea. And those who fed the pigs fled, and reported it to the city and the country, and they went out to see what had taken place. So they came to Yeshua and saw the demon-possessed one, him who had the legion, sitting and dressed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. And those who saw it related to them what was done to the demon-possessed one and about the pigs. And they began to plead with him to leave their borders. And as he was entering into the boat, he who had been demon-possessed begged him that he might be with him. And Yeshua did not allow him, but said to him, Go, go home to your friends, and report to them what the Master has done for you, and how he had compassion on you. And he left and began to proclaim in Decapolis all that Yeshua had done for him, and all marveled. When Yeshua does a true work, when it's truly Yeshua doing the work, most people are afraid of that. Most people don't want no part of that. Um, and it's a shame. It's funny, you know. We all want Jesus. We all want what he has for us. But when Jesus shows up and does a work, we don't particularly care for that. Don't believe me? Go tell people that you're starting to keep the Torah, that you're keeping the commands of Yahweh. And you will find pushback not amongst those who are unbelievers, but those who call themselves believers. You will find an extreme amount of pushback. I know this firsthand. It's okay to believe in Jesus, just the Jesus that's been created in people's own minds, not the one true Son of Yahweh. Verse 20. And he left and began to proclaim in Decapolis all that Yeshua had done for him, and he marveled. And when Yeshua had passed over again by boat to the other side, a large crowd assembled to him. And he was by the sea, and see, one of the rulers of the congregation came, Yair by name. And when he saw him, he fell at his feet, and begged him strongly, saying, My little daughter lies at the point of death. Come, lay your hands on her to heal her, and she shall live. And he went with him, and a large crowd was following him, and they were thronging him. And a certain woman had a flow of blood for 12 years, and had suffered much from many physicians, and spent all that she had, and was no better, but rather became worse. And having heard about Yeshua, she came behind him and the crowd, and touched his garment. For she said, If only I touch his garments, I shall be made well. And immediately the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of the affliction. And immediately Yeshua, knowing in himself that power had gone out of him, turned around in the crowd and said, Who touched my garments? His taught one said to him, You see the crowd is thronging you, and you say, Who touched me? He's in a great crowd of people, and he's like, Somebody touched me. And all of his disciples are like, Yeah, you're being touched by thousands of people, dude. They don't realize that Yeshua knows that something had changed. And the woman, fearing and trembling, knowing what was done to her, came and fell down before him, and spoke to him all the truth. And he said to her, Daughter, your belief has healed you. Go in peace, and be relieved from your affliction. As he was speaking, they came from the ruler of the congregation's house, saying to him, Your daughter is dead. Why trouble the teacher any further? And having heard the word that was spoken, Yeshua said to the ruler of the congregation, Do not be afraid, only believe. And he allowed no one to follow him except Peter and John and James, the brother of Jacob. And so they came to the house of the ruler of the congregation, and saw commotion and much weeping and lamenting. And coming in, he said to them, Why make this commotion and weep? The child has not died, but is only sleeping. And they were laughing at him. And when he had put them all out, he took the father and the mother of the child, and those who were with him, and went in where the child was lying. And taking the child by the hand, he said to her, Talitha Kuma, which is translated, Little girl, I say to you, arise. And immediately the girl rose up and was walking, for she was 12 years old. And they were completely astonished. But he ordered them many times that no one should know it, and said that she should be given food to eat. And he just takes James and John and Peter. Those are his three closest ones. Um, there's a lot to that, but in essence, basically, for one, he needs them to see the power and authority that he wields. Um, but he also doesn't need a whole bunch of people around with unbelief. Now, can he heal even though unbelief is there? Absolutely. Um, but it's an example for us. If we have a bunch of naysayers around us a lot, it's best to push them aside and allow and allow them to stay away from us so that we can do the job that we've been called to do. Um, Especially if we are leaders in our community, we're going to have those around us that are kind of negative towards what we're doing because they don't quite understand. And Jesus giving this example for us, carry our strong ones with us. Walk with our strong ones, the ones that they're ready to go to battle with us at any given moment for any given reason, just to be in battle with us. Does that make sense? Go check that one out on your own, and you can do further research and study and understand a little more what I'm saying there. Let's get back to Proverbs 31, and we'll wrap this up. The swords of the sovereign Lemuel, a message which his mother taught him. What, my chosen? And what chosen of my womb? And what chosen of my vows? Do not give your strength to women, nor your ways to wiping away sovereigns. Not for sovereigns, O Lemuel, not for sovereigns to drink wine, not for princes to desire strong drink, lest they drink and forget what is inscribed, and pervert the right of all afflicted. Give strong drink to him who is perishing, and wine to those embittered in being. Let him drink and forget his poverty, and remember his trouble no more. Open your mouth for the dumb, and the cause of all the sons of the departed. Open your mouth and judge righteously, and plead the cause of the poor and the needy. Who finds a capable wife? For she is worth far more than rubies. The heart of her husband shall trust her, and he has no lack of gain. She shall do him good and not evil all the days of her life. I love this one because I feel so blessed that I have a wife that fits this category, that fits this description. She shall seek wool and flax, and with delight she works with her hands. She shall be as the ships of the merchant. She brings in her food from afar, and she arises while it is still night, and provides food for her household. And what is lawful for her girls? She shall consider a field and buy it. For her profits she shall plant a vineyard. Now, we're talking about a physical woman, but we're also still talking about a church body. She shall gird herself with strength and strengthen her arms, and she shall taste when her grain is good. Her lamp does not go out by night. She shall stretch out her hands to the distaff, and her hand shall hold up in the spindle. She shall extend her hand to the poor, and she shall reach out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of snow for her household is dressed in scarlet. The word scarlet is many layers, meaning many hands of the body. In other words, verse 22, and she shall make a tapestry for herself. She is dressed in fine linen and purple. Fine linen and purple, that is a representation of Messiah. We are, as the church body, we should look and resemble Messiah. Her husband is known in the gates, when he sits among the elders of the land. She shall make fine linen and sell them, and shall give girdles for the merchants. Strength and splendor are her garments, and she rejoices in the time to come. She shall open her mouth with wisdom, and on her tongue is the Torah of loving commitment. She watches over the ways of her household, and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children shall rise up and call her blessed. Her husband too, and he praises her. Many daughters have done nobly, but you have risen over them all. Loveliness is deceptive, and prettiness is vain. A woman who fears Yahweh is to be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her in the gates. Now you see the resemblance of the true church, the true um, bride of Christ, Messiah. Anyway, like I said, those 5 chapters there that we just read, or 6 this morning, or 5. Yeah, 5. Let that be inspiration for you to go and further seek, further study. Matthew 6 and 33. Seek ye first the kingdom of Yahweh and His righteousness, and all things will be added to you. We have to diligently seek the Lord. If we're not diligently seeking the Lord, especially in times of trouble and distress, we're going to fall, y'all. I mean it. We have to be strong in the Lord. And so let this bless you, encourage you, and even frustrate you. Go look this up for yourself. And this is Oilfield Disciple, and I will catch you on the next ride.